When I had my near-death experience in 2007, I was not prepared for what I experienced in any way. I went in an atheist of 18 years and I was I was received immediately by the first religious deity that I didn't believe in, who was Jesus. And that led to other religious deities and wisdom from each that I experienced then and in the many out-of-body experiences after that time. And it's dawned on me that there are so many times I've had people respond to me about, oh, you talk about heaven. Oh, cringe, cringe. I understand that. I really do. I was an atheist. And when I'd hear anything to do with this whole, religious thing, I would just cringe on some level because, look, quite honestly, it hasn't gotten anybody anywhere. We are still in a world crisis, okay? And there are so many who are suffering right now because, well, for a variety of reasons. But this isn't a time where we need to come together in religion, okay? We need to come together as the energy of love that each of us was created as being. And this is who we are in this life. This is why we're here. We're not here to berate others for how they think or how they show up with their life story or how they show up in their religious context or how they show up even in their political context. What what a lot of individuals are not recognizing at this time is that we are all being faced with one another, right? We are all being faced with one another. And what do we do as we are being faced with something that we don't align with, we don't agree with, right? We don't want anything to do with? Well, you can't walk away from anything. I mean, think about your life. Think about everything that's happened to you in your life. I can think of a few different situations in mine where before my near death experience, I just didn't talk about it. I compartmentalized it, and that was it. That was enough. I didn't have to go there anymore. But the reality is that it was always there. It never left. Those feelings never left. I just didn't want to give it a voice. I didn't know how to talk to the situation of what had happened for me, right? And I know I'm not the only one. I would love for everyone now to step forward as the loving being that you are and that I am and that we all are, as the equals that we are, no matter what side of anything. Because it's almost like, people are trying to be right over here and people are trying to be right over here. And we're each responding differently or reacting differently. But there's always an outcome. There's always an outcome. And this week, the outcome that I saw was a death, an unnecessary death. But when I stop and think about it, every death that is brought on by anyone unnecessarily is, it's not, well, I was just going to say that it's really, it shouldn't have happened, but in fact, it should have, because these individuals served as the lamb, so to speak. I use that term because of the Catholic Church, growing up in the Catholic Church. So they were the lamb. And I am to watch what's happening and go, okay, wait a second. How did that happen? Why is this? Why did that just happen? What is it that's out of tune with love? And so love, it gets our attention. Love is not just some nice Hallmark card. Love is not just, oh, it's so good to see you. Oh, I love you. It's not that. Love is everything, every experience that we've been through as a collective and individually. That's love. Love is like, it is refining us and it is reminding us who we are in here. Love has kicked my ass as it has millions upon millions of others. I'm not the only one. And I know I'm not. But I really wish that everyone could see love as I've seen it in my near death experience. Because, yes, there were religious deities, and I love them all. And they were all different religions and spiritual beliefs. And I love them all, and I pray to them all. But what they were about was acceptance of one another, and they didn't compete for the attention. In other words, as I sat at God's table, Krishna didn't go, oh, and by the way, I did this. And Sitting Bull didn't say, oh, and by the way, I did this. And Jesus sitting to my left didn't go, yeah, and remember this? You learned about this in catechism. None of them did that. It was just a way of being an example of love that each of them was. They were each prophets of some sort. And they were each here on a mission to be an example of love, kindness, generosity, every one of them. And, when I think about the souls that I sat with, I didn't know who Prophet Muhammad was. I didn't know who Kali was. I didn't know who Kuan Yin was. I didn't know who, gosh, well, I can't even remember all of them. But there were so many. And there were all of these archangels to my right. I didn't know who any of them were. And, oh, and Melchizedek, who was sitting down next to Goddess. I had no idea who he was. Had no idea. And I've interacted with all of them. And every single one of them accepted me just as I was and embraced me with love and kindness and wisdom. All of them gave me wisdom. And that's what I want each of us for our world to do for one another is share the wisdom of our life with one another. Because I'm telling you, if you don't use your pain as your advantage, then you're missing the whole point of what love really is. That's a gift. Your pain is your gift. So I look at the pain in my life and I say, okay, not everybody can hear what I'm saying. And that's okay. That's okay. Um, but you know what? Those who do, great. Then they'll use my information to help them with whatever they're going through and however they're going to deal with it. This is what we're all here to do for one another, is help one another. So I feel like it's my job, according to my near-death experience and having come back as a completely changed individual, it is about recognizing where there are paying attention, really paying attention to the injustices and then correcting them. And how do we correct them? Sometimes we can't do it by ourselves. We just can't. We have to look to one another, no matter what the belief, okay, and really look at the other person and say, you know what? You are just like me. You're filled with blood, and that blood is life. Therefore, your purpose is as valuable as mine. And I want for you what I want for myself. This was not what I was taught growing up in the church. And I'm not bagging on the church. I mean, it sounds like it, and that's fine. But I don't care. I'm just sharing my experience with it. And all I know is that we need to show up for one another just as I witnessed in heaven. Just show up. How are you going to do a random act of kindness for someone? How are you going to do it? What does that mean? It's going to be different for all of us, right? It is because we've all processed life differently. So we're going to respond to situations differently. And it's okay. Just show up. Don't silence yourself. Be yourself, as Goddess said to me in my near-death experience. And God, too. They both said, just be yourself. We want you to be yourself. So I'm just being myself. And I want everybody to just be able to be themselves. I want everybody to live in peace and stay calm and think. We have to let go of the, pointing the finger and you did this and they did this and da 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 da. We all did. We all did, or we wouldn't be in a situation right now in the world that we're in. We are all guilty of being where we are right now. The world got too complacent, and that's what I heard from Archangel Michael himself. So who am I to tell him, oh, I don't think so? Yeah, well, they would know. They watch everything. So we've all been too complacent in the world, and we need to show up differently, not with the old guard, so to speak, not with, oh, this side of the political environment is going to put this in check, and this side is going to put it in check, and this side did this, and this side did that. You know what? There are no excuses anymore. There's none. Nope. Everyone, everyone could have said, no, you know what? And there are people who are doing this, and I know this. There are people who are saying, no, no, that's not what we saw. No, no, that's not it. We're in the process of doing what I'm talking about. And it's so important that we remember to communicate, not crucify, but communicate what it is that we want as a collective. And you know what? I'm voting for peace, and I'm voting for love for everyone, and I'm voting that we all step in and correct ourselves, we correct our cities, we correct our government, we correct that which falls out of alignment with peace and justice and equality for everyone. If I don't wish for you what I wish for myself, I'm missing the whole point as to why I'm here. So, what I want for me, I want for you, and I want for them, and I want for them over there. I want it for everyone. So, let's just all change the way in which we're responding to life right now and focus on what it is that we want. But how we have to get there, God said it perfectly to me, of course. And his first order to me was, Megan, tell everyone acceptance is synonymous with love. It is. It really is. So, in order to heal, We need to accept what has already happened. And rather than continue to stay on the angry train and the rage train, and it is enraging and it does bring up a lot of emotion. Everything is bringing up a lot of emotion. Venezuela, Israel, Iran, we're all in this together. No one should be suffering. So now, as a world, one world, we have to step in and begin somewhere for the outcome of everyone to live in peace and harmony, because that is what heaven wants for us. They don't want us to, step in and go, well, you're not Christian, and you're not Jewish, and you're not a Muslim, and you're not a Buddhist, and you're not this. So therefore, you can't dot, 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 whatever it is that anybody's going to put on it. It doesn't work that way. No, it works like this. They say, oh, you chose to be, following Krishna. You chose to follow Buddha. You chose to follow Prophet Muhammad or Jesus or Sitting Bull, whoever. Okay, great. They're not going to exclude you. Heaven doesn't exclude anyone who is really dedicated to doing right and to help others. So now it's just about reminding ourselves every day when we show up, we're all doing the best that we can. And for those who are struggling, in doing the best that they can and finding the love in these moments, listen, love is beautiful. Love is perfect. Love, it doesn't hold boundaries. It doesn't restrain anyone from receiving the energy of who they already are. Love is about just being the wholeness. So find your wholeness and help others find their wholeness. It's so incredibly important. So until next time, may peace be upon you, and acceptance is synonymous with love.